I was saying, y'all, it's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and man, of course we got to talk about that dub we just took. Come from behind victory, man. Y'all know me, and I just got done, of course, doing other things. I'm not about to sit here and act like I've just purely been rewatching that game since I stopped live streaming many hours ago. But I've taken the time to rewatch the game twice, highlights at least. Not all 22 just yet. I'm gonna take a look at some all 22 later on, probably late, like tomorrow or something like that. But I rewatched the game twice, and I more so want to dive into not what just happened, but how it happened. Of course, we won the game. We all saw that, but I really want to do a deep dive into how we won the game, why we won the game. So I'm super excited, and you know me, man, we're gonna talk about the positives and the negatives, because it was not a perfect game at all. Even from some of our best players, it wasn't a perfect game. Remember, Bill fumbled, Jaden Daniels made a couple of mistakes as well, but overall this was a phenomenal performance from this team. We're gonna dive into every player that had any impact on the game, whether positive, negative, or both, every position group, all of that type of stuff. And if you remember, now my new format for this season is when I do these game reviews soon after the game, or a couple hours the same night that the game happened. Typically I like to do like a chronological order, narrative type of breakdown thing. So we're gonna dive into everything that happened in this game, the most important parts, and like specifically why things happen, how they happen, somewhat in like a chronological order, where we're gonna go through the first half, then we'll do like a quick halftime review real thing, and then we're gonna do like the second half, and then a lot of post-game notes. And of course, you know me being Rico of StreetScores, I have a bunch of interesting stats for you, some crazy ridiculous stats, and on top of that also a couple of records broken, some historical stuff that we're gonna tie in as well. Man, this was a crazy game. I can't wait to dive into it. I already know this video is gonna end up being somewhere around an hour long, but before we get into everything, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Shouts out to my late night crew, man. I'm recording this, it's 3:40 a.m. right now. I'm assuming by the time this gets out to y'all, it's probably gonna be 5-6 a.m., which is crazy because I gotta wake up early in the morning. But hey, man, I'm so excited off of this win. I wasn't even sleepy. I'm not sleepy, and I figure, hey, I might as well go ahead and knock out this video right now. And shouts out, of course, not only the late night crew, but the watch to the end gang, man. This, like I said, this video is going to be around an hour long. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes over an hour. So shouts out to all of y'all that are always watching to the end. WTTEG in the building. And shouts out the notification gang as well. But let's go ahead and dive into this video because it's already going to be long enough. No reason for me to just spend this much time even before the intro. Let's get to it, man. Let's get it. Adam. Now, you already see Bill behind me. You see Bill on the hat. Shouts out to my boy Metaphor for the hat, man. I'm about to go get some more merch myself, man. I was looking at some of the toboggans, the beanies. I was really feeling them, man. I'm about to hop on one of those JD5 ones. But either way, man, diving into this game, first of all, I like to talk about injuries first. One of the most amazing parts about this whole game? No significant injuries that I'm aware of. I mean, maybe Tressway, it looked like he maybe got a little banged up on that roughing into the kicker, run into the kicker situation that ended up really like bailing us out and being like completely turning the game around for us, because that was immediately right after that, the very next play, Jaden Daniels deep bombed to Luke McCaffrey. We ended up going down there after a Deebo Samuel catch, getting in the field goal range to tie it up 10-10 going into halftime because of that run into Tressway. So hopefully he's good to go. I mean, I feel like a lot of people didn't necessarily notice. The reason we don't have a Tressway update whether he's good or not is because I don't believe we punted after that. After the run into the kicker going into halftime, I believe we went the whole second half without punting. Of course, we had a Bill Krosky-Merritt fumble, but other than that, always some sort of a scoring drive, and that's how you win on the road right there, bro. We got off to a slow start too. Dan Quinn has been preaching about slow starts, especially on the road. We got off to a slow start, but this time we adjusted both on offense and defense, and special teams is still lights out, bro. Our return game, we didn't have like the huge returns like we've been used to this season, but everything, all three phases of the football game, we hooped. Now let's dive into the real analysis. First of all, shouts out to Brody and Aja. You saw them in the thumbnail, and I really want to point out the fact, if you were there for the live stream, you already know this, but they had their jerseys on during the game, and I want to let you know that we were down 10-0. I ordered these jerseys for Brody and Aja like a week ago. Forgot about him. We're down 10-0. My mom is just searching for answers like, how can we turn this game around? She thought, hey, let me go ahead and give Brody his burgundy Commanders jersey and Aja her black Commanders shirt/jersey. And suddenly, just to let you know, 27 unanswered points for the win. There were a lot of changes though. Deebo Samuel and Jaden Daniels got out of their pink cleats. We made some important plays on defense and all, like Quan Martin's forced fumble, Mike Sanderson's interception again, the run into the kicker with Tress Way. But I would like to believe that Brody and Aja wearing their jerseys is what really truly turned this game around. So best believe they're about to be in jerseys all year, every year, bro. Every game, regular season, postseason, and again, I'm gonna keep speaking it into existence, the Super Bowl. I don't care what's going on. If I have control over it, Brody and Aja will have their jerseys on. Because to go from down 10-0 to them putting on their jerseys during a commercial break and we go 27 unanswered points, insane, bro. I'm sticking with it. Also, shouts out to NFL Network and really everybody out there that doubted us. Nobody thought we would win this game. Look at this, bro. Shouts out to E at home. He was the only person that predicted us to win the game, and he didn't even expect it to turn out like this, 27-10. And I'm pretty sure when we went down 10-0, even E at home was like, wait a minute. I wish I probably would have picked the Chargers. Now look at him, Lone Wolf, hooping, bro. And just to mind you, this picture that you're seeing right now was uploaded by the Commanders themselves with this Jaden Daniels reaction. I believe this is from the Chargers game when he didn't play. He was something with Deebo Samuel. He was like, look at this guy. Like, what is he talking about? What's wrong with him type of thing? Like the nerve of this guy type of thing. So I felt like that was the perfect reaction. Again, that was uploaded by the Commanders themselves. The social media team killing it once again. Outside of schedule reveals, this social media teams is on point. Now, also moving on, and as we continue talking, you'll see this 16 seconds of Bob Myers being there to meet Adam Peters and Dan Quinn in the winning tunnel. Hey, Adam Peters been a busy man. He's been over there with the UCLA coaching search. Immediately after he joins their coaching search, they go out and upset. And they get their first win of the season. You know, that was UCLA's first time ever having a lead at any point this season as well. That big upset over Penn State, man. So Adam Peters, just everywhere he's been going, he's been winning this past weekend, bro. The Adam Peters effect is real. Also, I want to point out the fact that Washington has now beaten the Chargers for the first time since 2013. That is incredible. Also, this is the first time we've beaten the Chargers on the road since 1986, bro. I was nowhere near thought of, bro. Oh, my Lord. Also, shouts out to Lake Lewis. He brings up a good point that no more chatter going forward about sophomore slump or inferior opponents. The Commanders were led by the best player on the field, Jaden Daniels, and moved the ball on a top 4 Chargers defense. A huge road win for Washington. And I really want to emphasize the fact that, you know, people always talk about the Commanders can only beat bad opponents. People were talking crazy about us beating the Giants. It's just the Giants. People talked about us beating the Raiders. It's just the Raiders. Then you go against the Falcons in Atlanta, you lose. Then we go to Los Angeles and beat the Chargers at home. They're hurt. We're hurt too. I don't want to hear any excuses. We don't have Terry McLaurin, nor Noah Brown, nor Samuel Cosme, nor our starting safety and Will Harris. All of those things matter, bro. That's why tight ends have been eating against us. Ever since Will Harris got hurt, we can't cover a tight end, bro. It's bad. Shouts out to that one tight end that dropped that 4th down conversion for the Chargers at one point, but he was relatively open. So I don't want to hear anything about injuries. The Chargers have injuries. We have our fair share as well. Let alone Jaden Daniels in a leg brace. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear nothing about it. We beat a great opponent on the road. Mind you, we were down 10-0. Maybe, just maybe, and I still wouldn't hear you out. But even then, like if you want to use injuries as an excuse, you're up 10-0 at home. What happened? So, and also, mind you, that final drive to end the game started with 7 minutes and 40 seconds left in the 4th quarter, bro. That was an absolute death march and a complete ball control to end the game, bro. That's the perfect example of how you put a game away and not let your defense see the field in any real meaningful capacity against the Chargers. The Chargers got the ball back when they got on the field down 17 with 1 minute left. It was insane. So Jaden Daniels and the offense did a great job of putting that game away on that final drive. I mean, it got to the point that the Chargers just went ahead and threw Trey Lance out there on that last drive. That's how much of a depth march they went on with 7 minutes and 40 seconds left. Also, the Commanders' last scoring drive was their longest of the season. 13 plays, 99 net yards. Remember, and we're going to get into this as we go through chronological order. Just wanted to get a few points out the way first. But we started that drive on our own 1 yard line. Remember that? Back into the end zone after the Mike Sanderson's interception? Like insane stuff. And it took for a Cliff Kingsbury elite play call to get us from outside the back of our own end zone. And then from there, we just walked them down to the point that we even pulled Bill. We let him basically do his curtain call. He basically just took a bow like, I'm done. I already did my part. We let Chris Rodriguez get all of the little dirty carries to end the game. And then we still ended up scoring a touchdown on 4th and 7 with like 3 guys basically coming through on block. Jaden Daniels is ridiculous. Speaking of Jaden Daniels, shouts out to Cam Newton. I try my best. You being a Westlake alum, I've supported you the entire way, but you have some crazy takes. And he said right before this game, they asked him straight up, if you had to start an NFL team right now, like literally today, you're starting a franchise, do you prefer to have Justin Herbert or Jaden Daniels? He said with the straightest face, Justin Herbert, and I'm so happy that Jaden Daniels went out there and proved them wrong. Ryan Clark didn't even necessarily have to rebuttal because he already know who he was going to pick. First of all, he just has logic. He's going to pick Jaden Daniels because Jaden Daniels is the better quarterback. He's the better quarterback to start a franchise with. He's already gone to an NFC Championship game. Justin Herbert, every time he gets to the playoffs, just forgets how to play football for some reason. But even just beyond that, the connection to Jaden Daniels, the LSU, and all of that has been supporting him the whole way. So they didn't even have to ask Ryan Clark. But hey, Cam Newton, I'm going to need to see what your rebuttal is to whatever you just saw in that game on, to, I guess, at some point Monday on First Take. Also, shouts out to Resh Manu for pointing out the fact that Washington has now been at 500, dead even, or better for 21 consecutive regular season weeks. That's their longest such streak since 1996-1997. That is absolutely insane. Now let's dive into the game again in chronological order. First of all, immediately to start the game, Benjamin St. Juste got a penalty on special teams. Shouts out to him, bro. We should have already known how that game was going to go, and they attacked Benjamin St. Juste a lot. A couple of like Deebo Samuel's most impressive catches in the passing game was against Benjamin St. Juste, getting easy separation to get him against him. Looks like the Benjamin St. Juste we all know in I guess I wouldn't say love, but you know, that was what a time, you know what I'm saying? Also, I want to get out the way that Matt Gay is perfect through 2 straight games. Let's get that out the way too before we like really get into all of this chronological order stuff and we go through like the narration of the game. Just real quick, I want to remind y'all that Matt Gay is perfect in the last 2 games against the Falcons and the Chargers, both on the road. And, you know, it was starting to look like, okay, bad in an outside stadium, good in a dome in a controlled environment, no wind, no weather, anything like that. Then he goes to Los Angeles. Now, granted, they have arguably the best weather in the world, but it's still outside elements. There is wind, and he was still perfect. Granted, he didn't necessarily have to ever kick like a really long 50-something yard field goal, but he was still perfect. Mind you, he missed a 37-yarder against the Raiders where, I mean, I honestly probably could have made that kick, so I don't know what changed, but Matt Gay, with the pressure on him, once the seat got hot, he's turned it actually into a pretty good kicker. We'll see how long he can keep it up. Hopefully it's forever. Hopefully this is just who he is, and we'll see. But man, I mean, very early on, bro, it was pretty ugly to start, and then that Justin Herbert scramble with 13 minutes and 32 seconds left, bro, that killed me, bro. We set a 6-man pressure. We blitzed. Both linebackers left the middle of the field, and then Justin Herbert out there shook Jeremy Reeves out of his shoes and everything. Bobby Wagner, I feel like, should have done a better job of getting off of the guy that was blocking him. I think it was like a running back or something, maybe a Marion Hampton. So Bobby Wagner, I blame him a little bit. But honestly, Jeremy Reeves, you can't get juked out your socks by Justin Herbert. He's mobile, but he's not that mobile, bro. So the game just started off ugly. But Mike Sanford still had a couple of really good tackles on that initial defensive drive, bro. Even one where he just straight up lifted a Marion Hampton off the ground like a pure wrestling move, bro. That was nice. And then Jeremy Reeves did a great job at the back of the end zone to knock down a pass that could have been a touchdown. So then the team comes out for a field goal. Next thing you know, after Mike Sanford still has 2 really good tackles on the drive, he goes offsides on a 4th and 5 field goal attempt. This right there, a chip shot. Bro, just let them have the 3 points, bro. The likelihood of you blocking this kick versus you possibly going offsides, and now they have 7 points instead of 3. That was literally 4 points on Mike Sanfordstill's head alone, bro. That would really like took the sails out of any momentum that we potentially had. It really hurt us, bro. I mean, it was such an easy touchdown to Ladd McConkey, and I mean, it looks like we tried to run man, but Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louis were just out there covering dirt. They were just covering grass. Ladd McConkey right behind them for a touchdown, bro. And it was already starting to get annoying because it was starting to feel, it was that same narrative of hey, you're on a losing streak right now. You've had a bad couple of games, a bad few games or whatever, or just straight up you haven't had a good career yet. Hey, go against this Commanders defense, you can ball out. So like we let Michael Penix bounce back. We let Kyle Pitts bounce back. And then Ladd McConkey, my Georgia dog, you know what I'm saying? He's had a couple of games where like Quentin Johnston has been outshining him by far. And then he suddenly started to have a really good game against us. Of course, though, I already told y'all in my preview video before the game even started that the Commanders have been bad against slot receivers, arguably the worst defense in the NFL against slot receivers according to yards given up per attempt. And then so Ladd McConkey being Ladd McConkey going out there doing what he did, especially with that punt return touchdown that he earned. You know, that roughing the kicker into Tress Way had nothing to do with that return. That was a really good Ladd McConkey to return. So he was having a great game against us overall, and it was really making me nervous. But now going back to the first quarter, bro, I mean, you could just notice that they were moving the pocket for Justin Herbert. They acknowledged the fact that, yes, our O-line is really banged up. We're missing our 2 top tackles. Even other people on our starting defensive line are banged up as well. Some of the interior guys, but most notably, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. Those are 2 Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber tackles that they've lost. They had out of the game before we even went into the game. And I respect the fact that the Chargers decided, okay, well, we're not going to really try to ask Justin Herbert to stay in the pocket too much because we know this defensive line can get pressure with 4. They've done it all season so far, really outside of the Falcons game, and our offensive line is banged up. And so my main thing was, okay, if the Chargers can do that with Justin Herbert, can we please do that with Jaden Daniels? Can we move the pocket for him? That's what I was thinking at the time. And then Luke McCaffrey went out there and had a really good return, bro. He's one of the best returners in the NFL, which is crazy because the only person that's having a better return season than him is another guy on the same Commanders team, Deebo Samuel. Right now, we have the 2 best returners in the entire NFL. I forgot the exact numbers, but I showed y'all before this game even started, the most return yards per return attempt with at least 5 attempts out of the entire NFL. Deebo Samuel was number 1, Luke McCaffrey was number 2, and then it's everybody else in the NFL below them. We have literally the number 1 and 2 best kick returners in the NFL according to stats so far this season. It's incredible. Both of these guys could potentially go to the Pro Bowl as returners, bro. That's insane. We'll see how that goes because Deebo Samuel, the way he's hooping this year, he may go straight up as a receiver. But of course, when we first went out there on offense, straight up flat, immediate 3 and out, not running the ball. Don't understand, bro. I mean, I don't know why we got away from our heavy personnel running game immediately, bro. With Marcus Mariota, we love to bring in Trent Scott as a 3rd tackle to have 6 offensive linemen out there very often. For some reason, we didn't start the game doing that, but thank goodness Cliff Kingsbury got back to that. I pointed this out during my live stream. And I don't think at any point the first couple of games with Jaden Daniels was out there, we were throwing Trent Scott out there as a 6th offensive lineman as a 3rd tackle. As soon as Marcus Mariota goes out there and starts 2 games, we do it every game and we do it a lot. We didn't do it to start this game with Jaden Daniels back out there, but eventually at some point, even though Trent Scott got a couple of penalties, overall it was helpful for him to be that 3rd tackle out there. Thank you, Cliff Kingsbury, for using what worked with Marcus Mariota and then also utilizing that with Jaden Daniels and not switching up the game plan too much, because I didn't like the fact from Cliff Kingsbury, and I still rock with him overall, and this was a great game today, but I didn't like how, like, schematically, once Marcus Mariota came in, he just made things way easier for him. Jaden Daniels out there making it way harder for him for no reason. Just do some of it. You don't have to do it as much, but do some of the things that work with Marcus Mariota with Jaden Daniels. And then Cliff Kingsbury didn't do that the first drive, but he eventually figured it out. Because that first drive, we didn't even run the ball with a running back. And I was already livid. Like, bro, we're down 7-0. The game is not out of reach, bro. Can you please run the ball with running backs, bro? And then, of course, I mean, that start was terrible. We gave up a touchdown thanks to an offsides from Mike Sanverstill. Then we went 3 and out immediately. And then we punted into the end zone. So we couldn't even pin them deep into their own side of the field. It was ugly. But then the defense did a good job on 2nd and 3rd down. Payne went untouched to blow up a pass play. And then on 3rd down, Jacob Martin and Von Miller came together, met at the quarterback on 3rd down, forcing a long field goal, which we ended up going down 10-0 at that point. The defense couldn't stop anything until that final few plays. But shouts out to Deron Payne, Jacob Martin, and Von Miller finally getting something going. I noticed the theme throughout this game is that our coverage was never truly that great, or at least consistently, but our D-line bailed out our coverage sometimes, bro. You can see in the replay sometimes receivers are open, but Justin Herbert's running for his life. He doesn't even have a chance to see him, or even if he does see him, he doesn't have a chance to get the ball to him because the D-line was just on his heels that bad. Speaking of Von Miller, He, at the point that he got that first sack, he had 16 and a half sacks, but he ended up getting another one later on. So he ultimately had 17 and a half sacks, career sacks versus the Chargers specifically. That's the most among any player in NFL history against the Chargers, and it's also the most sacks against any individual opponent that Miller has in his career. So it's something about the Chargers that Von Miller has his best games in his NFL career, NFL life, bro. He ended up with a sack and a half against the Chargers, man. And also, that took him to 132 and a half in his entire career, just period. And now he's tied with Lawrence Taylor and Leslie O'Neal for the 14th most since 1982, when sacks have been officially like a stat that was recorded. Also, I love the fact that Joe Whitt Jr. finally utilized Jordan McGee a lot more. We saw him blitzing. We're going to talk about it later, but he made some good goal line stops. I liked what I saw from him in coverage at times, bro. I've been screaming for Jordan McGee to get more playing time. Joe Whitt Jr. was hyping him up so much in the offseason, talking about how last year we had entire plays and formations designed around him. We just couldn't get to those because he was hurt so much last year. Then we get to this year, he's healthy, but we're just not playing him. So I'm so happy that we finally started to play him. I feel like that was an important reason as to why we were better on defense as well. We had more speed in the linebacker room. I love Luvu. I love Bobby Wagner. But neither of those guys can go sideline to sideline, especially not like Jordan McGee can. But this was the third consecutive road game in which Washington had fallen behind double digits in the first half, bro. We got to stop those slow starts. We still have to fix that. We ended up coming back and getting 27 unanswered points, but we can't continue to go down 10-0 against good teams on the road all season. We have to fix that. I mean, Tashawn Reed brought up a great point that Dan Quinn literally harped on their slow starts on the road, but they're off to another one in Los Angeles. They were trailing 10-0 to the Chargers at the end of the first quarter, and they have been outgained 123 yards to 30 at that point, and the Chargers had the ball again to start the second quarter. It was really ugly, bro. But then, once we finally got the ball back, it's 2 minutes and 51 seconds left, bro. Bill Krosky-Merritt, 1st and 10 from our own 13-yard line. Terrible field positioning, mind you. He somehow turned a play that should have been stopped at the line of scrimmage for no gain, somehow turned it into 7 yards. And that was the theme of the entire day. He just kept doing that. And I immediately thought, whoa, Bill Krosky-Merritt getting first half carries, let alone first quarter carries, man? Come on, dog. In the first 2 drives, Bill was on the field and getting, well, he didn't get carries on the first drive, but still, bro, and he was hooping. He had 7 yards of carry on his first 3 carries on just the second drive alone, bro. Then we went back to defense after not getting any points, and Frankie Luvu missed the tackle on a Hampton catch on the flat and ended up going for 12 yards. I was sick to my stomach. Even Frankie Luvu's face said it all. I was like, yo, defense, come on, bro. And I kept being optimistic. You can go check the receipts on the live stream. I said, I know we're on the road. I know we're down 10-0 to a really good team, but we're hurting ourselves just like we did against the Falcons. We need to be smarter with the play calling from both Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Whitt Jr. But most importantly, we need to tackle, bro. Can we please tackle? And we were missing tackles early on in this game. We started to, not missed as many tackles. We still missed a couple of tackles as the game went on, even after while we were going on our 27 points unanswered streak. We were still missing some tackles, but it wasn't as bad as that moment when we were down 10-0 and even a little bit beyond that. But then Dorrance Armstrong got his first of 2 sacks against Justin Herbert. That was his 4th of the year. He ended up with 5 on the season. By the end of this game, bro, man, we really needed that sack when he got it, bro. Then the Chargers still moving the ball. Got a big throw to Quentin Johnston. And then Quan Martin makes arguably the play of the game, the momentum shift of the entire game, where he puts his shoulder/helmet on the ball with also like Trey Amos. Even though he got beat in coverage, he was trying his best to pull out the ball with his hand. But I would say Quan Martin did most of the work to force a fumble. And Marshall Lattimore recovered that fumble like his life depended on it. You could just tell, like, bro, I need a win, bro. It was like two other commanders around him. It was Quan Martin, Trey Amos, and Marshall Lattimore all right there. And Lattimore just wanted it more than even those other 2 guys. He wanted it bad, bro. And again, it was scary because the Chargers were moving the ball so well up to that point. That was really what killed it. That's when the game completely flipped upside down for both the Commanders and the Chargers, bro. That was a huge save because it looked like they were about to go down and score again. At 13-0 at best, arguably probably even 17-0 with the way that they were moving the ball, bro. And so we go back on offense, and then Jaden Daniels misses a throw to Jalen Lane that should have been there. He threw it so late, bro. You got to throw that earlier, Jaden. At the same time, though, it went through Jalen Lane's hands. And then 3rd and 11 for the Commanders, After a false start penalty from Jeremy McNichols makes it the 3rd and 16 after the Jaden Daniels throwing it late to Jalen Lane. Again, a Jeremy McNichols false start makes it even worse. Jaden throws a laser to Jalen Lane for 16 yards. Of course, guess who's in coverage? Benjamin St. Juste. We needed that first down big time. That was like our first real positive play on the offensive side of the ball for us in that game. So that was another game-changing play, bro. If we don't convert that 3rd down, who knows how the game goes. We needed that big time. Then Deebo Samuel gets a catch as well. And that catch allowed Deebo Samuel to join Bobby Mitchell and Charlie Taylor as the only players with at least 5,000 plus receiving yards and 1,000 plus rushing yards in their first 7 career seasons in NFL history, yo. And then, of course, he did most of that with the 49ers, but he's doing some of it with the Commanders right now. And he's destined to have a ridiculous season here. We're going to end up paying him big-time money after this season. I'm telling y'all right now. But also, Deebo Samuel accomplished the feat in 86 games, which is the second fewest behind Taylor, who hit it in 81 games, just to let you know. And also, Deebo Samuel is the 13th player in NFL history to hit both marks during their career, and the first since running back Tiki Barber in 2006. And also, he becomes the first wide receiver in NFL history to ever achieve the feat, bro. This is different type of stuff that Deebo Samuel's doing through his first few seasons of his NFL career, bro, and it's only up from here, bro. And then I like the fact that on that offensive drive that we started to finally get into a rhythm. After we converted that 3rd and 15 with a 16-yard throw to Jalen Lane, really started to get into a rhythm. We had Deebo Samuel with a catch. Hey, we had that direct snap to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill. That was a big-time call from Cliff Kingsbury. And John Com even pointed out the fact that he noticed that Anthony Lynn was working on the proper footing with Krosky-Merritt on that direct snap just the other day. So you could already see through practice that they were working on implementing that play and bringing it out at the exact moment that they needed to. And it was a big-time carry for us. And then a couple of plays later, Bill Krosky-Merritt went untouched on a 15-yard touchdown run. The blocking was insane. That made the game 10-7, and mind you, he hit 20 miles per hour on the way to the end zone on that run. That was a beautiful run, bro. That was the insane run where Tyler Biadasz blocked 2 guys, bro. He blocked 2 guys on that run, man. It was amazing. Also, the defense was so worried about Jaden Daniels that they also leaned towards the right side of the offense. Tyler Biadasz pulls, blocks 2 guys. That's your center, mind you. And then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt goes untouched for a touchdown, bro. And also, I want to point out the fact that Chris Paul had like the original lane opening block where from the left guard position, he cut off the whole lane, had the whole defense like walled up because of that alone. It was insane, bro. And then we also got to a point in the game where like, I don't know what happened. It was tweeted at like around 5:20 something p.m. But everybody was, Nikki Javala, John Com, everybody was tweeting how mad Bobby Wagner was. They were like saying things like, this is like the angriest they've probably seen him since he's joined the Commanders. They said he was mad, yelling at the sidelines and clearly frustrated as Dan Quinn walked onto the field during the 2-minute warning to talk to him. And then even Jaden Daniels came onto the field to talk to him. I don't know what happened, but I feel like it was much needed because the defense and the offense started playing way better after that. Very soon after that, Daron Payne sniffed out a screen, bro. Wagner had a good job getting pressure on Justin Herbert, but Daron Payne, the one thing you can't say about him is that he's not a smart player, bro. He just has a knack for sniffing out trick plays, screens, all kinds of stuff. Remember back against the Raiders, he completely destroyed a Brock Bowers designed screenplay when we played them. I mean, it was like a good play. If Daron Payne doesn't sniff that out, that's a big game for Brock Bowers against the Raiders. And I forgot who caught that one in that game against the Chargers just earlier yesterday evening. But Daron Payne probably prevented a big play right there as well, bro. So not only does he bat down passes, and shouts out to Johnny Newton for getting his Daron Payne bag, batting down a pass that led to a Mike Sanford interception. We're going to get there later. But boy, shouts out to Daron Payne for, man, he's a really smart player, bro. I don't feel like that gets talked about enough. He sniffs out screens so well, bro. I feel like Kendall Fuller was one of the best defensive backs in recent memory of sniffing out screens. Daron Payne is easily the best defensive lineman I've seen doing it anytime recently. Also, the defense bounced back. You know, one thing that we noticed so far, 2 road games, 2 losses. Remember, we were undefeated at home and winless on the road so far through 4 games before this game, and we finally won on the road. But our defense got off to horrible starts. And then this is the first time that they finally adjusted and actually like made plays. And so they got a takeaway. And then they got to stop on 3rd and long the very next play. And then shouts out to Grant Paulson for bringing up the fact that, hey, man, that roughing the kicker was a huge play, bro. That was a game-changing play. Because if not, you know what I'm saying? They're up 17-7, right? Yeah, because it was 7-10. Ladd McConkey returns the 57-yard punt for a touchdown. And again, the roughing the kicker running into Tressway had nothing to do with the play. That had no advantage for the Chargers and had any effect on how Ladd McConkey was able to return that punt for a touchdown, bro. It had no effect on it. So that was sort of like a bailout, but that's the Chargers' fault for being undisciplined, and we took advantage of it. Instead of being down 17-7, I mean, immediately after that, running into the kicker, bro, huge deep bomb. The very next play from Jaden Daniels to Luke McCaffrey, 50 yards, sophomore to sophomore, amazing. It was a great catch from Luke McCaffrey because it was great coverage. The DB had great coverage. But it's football, bro. Great coverage can always get beat by a beautiful throw, a perfect throw, and a great catch, bro. It's nothing you can do. There's no coverage for a perfect throw and a great catch, bro. Literally no coverage in existence, bro. And so I'm just so happy to see Luke McCaffrey still breaking out. Now, granted, he finished the game with that being his only catch, but one catch for 50 yards, and that 50-yard catch was a huge momentum boost, bro. Big time, bro. And again, the throw was perfect. That was one of Jaden Daniels' best deep balls of all time. And mind you, he threw that ball from like his own around 8-yard line. So that was technically like 57 air yards for real, honestly. It ended up being counted as like a 50-yard bomb, but technically he threw it 57 in the air, bro. And there's not a lot of quarterbacks that have a big enough arm to even attempt to throw like that, bro. And I mean, this guy can do it all. I mean, we know him for his legs, of course. Most people know him for his legs, but that's the type of throw that shows you he's also one of the best pocket passing quarterbacks in the entire NFL. The deep bomb was amazing. And shouts out to Ryan Fowler. He says sometimes all it takes is that metaphorical light bulb to click in a young player's head. I think it's clicked for Luke McCaffrey in good form. I completely agree, bro. And hey, shouts out to Wes Welker because he's hooping with Luke McCaffrey right now. I just got to assume that it has to be the Wes Welker effect because Luke McCaffrey didn't have any effect on his team last year. Suddenly now he went 2 games in a row with a touchdown, and then the 3rd game he has a 50-yard deep bomb that he made looking like so easy to catch. That was a really tough catch, bro. Great coverage and all contact, and he still found a way to make that catch, man. And it was hilarious too because during the live stream in the chat, and even while I was looking on my timeline on Twitter while we were celebrating the catch, I saw more thanks to Wes Welker than Luke McCaffrey himself. I thought that was hilarious. Shouts out to Wes Welker, but let's make sure we thank Luke McCaffrey properly for that. So then we went into halftime tied 10-10 somehow. Instead of down 17-7, we went tied 10-10. That was a big momentum shift in itself, bro. And so again, to punt away with 54 seconds remaining, we were like holding on to our timeouts, hoping that we could go on a game, a game tying drive ourselves at first, just initially. But then offense just went so bad. It went so terribly that we ended up punting. Tressway gets ran into. Deep bomb for 50 yards. Deebo Samuel throw from Jaden Daniels for 22, and then a Matt Gay 29-yard field goal, bro. That was big time, bro. Also, I mean, again, at halftime, we were losing the time of possession by nearly 9 yards. The Chargers had 9 minutes, my fault. The Chargers had 10 more plays than us. We were 1 of 4 on 3rd downs. They were 5 of 8. It was amazing that the score was even tied. But hey, man, turnovers and penalties can change games, and that's what it was. A Quan Morton forced fumble recovered by Marshawn Lattimore, and the roughing the kicker penalty is why that game was tied 10-10. I mean, and just to let you know, at halftime, Bill had 5 carries for 45 yards. That was 9 yards a carry, y'all. I was screaming at Cliff Kingsbury in halftime, please continue to give him the ball more, because it doesn't make any sense. Now, before we get into what happened in the second half, and we have a lot more to talk about in this video. Man, football is a full go, man. I mean, Commanders football has never been more exciting, and right now with Sleeper, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football, man. You see Jaden Daniels hooping. You see Deebo Samuel hooping. You see Bill finally unleashed, looking like the best running back in the entire NFL. We're going to dive into that later, bro, because I'm telling you, he's literally on a per carry basis the best running back in the NFL. Number 1, better than Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Saquon, all of them, bro. You can pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times your payout on Sleeper. And right now, as you can see, new users can even get a free $20 without even depositing. And also on top of that, you can still get the up to 100% match up to $100 using promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, or you can just click the link at the top of the description of this video. And every video on live stream I'll be doing all year, all the way to the Super Bowl. And again, it's not just the Commanders in the NFL. You can also play daily fantasy for NBA. It's already back. Preseason started. I was shocked when I saw Rudy Gobert out there ball. That caught me so off guard. I was scared. I literally almost gasped in real life. I almost turned the game off. But NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, my Georgia Bulldogs, we had to get that back in blood. I'm sorry, Kentucky, you had to catch the wrath from the Alabama loss, but it is what it is. Hey, shouts out to Penn State for being, fake. Shouts out to Texas for being fake and all. I love it, bro. I'm loving what's going on right now. Also, college basketball and the WNBA, who I believe are in the finals right now. Now, just to review, and I'm not going to sit here and lie, bro. I'm going to show y'all my wins, and I'm going to show y'all my L's. But at the end of the day, man, I was really close, bro. I was very, very close. Let me take this away and show y'all, bro. See how nice everything is going? This is an 8-leg that I think this is the one that my boy put together and put me on to. So I put 10 on it. We were right there. Jaden Daniels interception below. Of course, Jaden Daniels doesn't throw interceptions. Justin Jefferson, 50 plus yards. We can get that. Daniel Jones, 200 plus yards. Jalen Hurts, he doesn't even throw the ball. So, of course, he's not going to throw an interception, even though he tried to at the end. Josh Allen was horrible in the first half. They ended up losing the game, but he still had his 2 passing touchdowns. Then you have George Pickens with his anytime touchdown. I knew he would get that, especially against the Jets. And then I think it was against Sauce Gardner, but that's what Georgia Bulldogs do. Then that's the Genty, 50 plus rushing yards. I thought he was going to go for 100, but I'll take it. And then you scroll down. And you see Cooper Rush, who actually, when you look at his stats in his career, even as a backup, he doesn't really throw a lot of interceptions. But for some reason, he decided to throw 3 of them yesterday, bro. So that messed up my whole 8-leg, bro. I was about to go crazy, man. We were about to be celebrating on here tonight. I'm still happy for the Commanders win, but man, I was so close right there. Now let's get back to the breakdown. Let's get to the second half of this football game. And then coming back into the second half, Cliff Kingsbury was in his bag. Mind you, that was so phenomenal that we were able to tie the game 10-10 before half because we deferred to start the game. We won the coin toss, deferred. We started on defense. So coming into the third quarter, we started with the ball with the game tied up. That was a completely different game. Again, could have been completely different, down 7-17 starting with the ball. But it was tied 10-10, dead even. With us having the ball, we had the advantage going into halftime, honestly, especially with a lot of the momentum, especially after that D-bomb and the Deebo Samuel 22-yard throw and the field goal. But then we came out and Cliff Kingsbury was in his bag, bro. We saw a speed option. Like Jaden Daniels ran it himself. As soon as the defense converged onto him, he just tossed it to JCM, my boy Bill, and then he was able to take it for a big first down. I mean, then it was like, I think either the very next play or soon after that, Bill was able to pick up another first down, bro. And then it was 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. We were moving and we were going up tempo. That Chargers defense was gasping for breath. You could just tell that they were just dying out there, bro. Their stamina was cooked, bro. That was a killer drive for them. The up-tempo offense, shouts out to Cliff Kingsbury for that one, bro. That was phenomenal execution, but shouts out to the refs because they tried to soil it. It was at one point, it was all of this confusion where they literally like stopped the game for no reason and allowed the Chargers defense to catch their breath, but it didn't matter because we still ended up scoring. But on that drive, Cliff Kingsbury, like I said, was in his bag. He even like had like an angle screen. It was ridiculous, man. JCM was involved no matter what, whether it's through the run, through the passing game. It was insane, bro. He makes such a huge difference on offense, bro. Again, whether it's running or receiving, bro, he does things that other running backs on this team can't do. Because like that angle screen, I mean, he was surrounded. A few other guys, other running backs that we've had over the years probably get tackled for maybe at best a 2-yard gain. He somehow turned that into like a double-digit first down gain. And then he went out there and scored yet another touchdown. This time a 5-yard touchdown, bro. And that gave us the lead for the first time all game with a 17-10 lead, man. I was so happy, bro. I was so happy. And I can't remember exactly if it was that second Bill touchdown or the first one, where if you pause it at the right time, because again, I rewatched the game before I recorded this. Like, only 3 players on the entire Chargers defense knew that Bill even had the ball. Everybody else was busy or being blocked or completely focused on Jaden Daniels potentially keeping it himself. And that's why Jaden Daniels' legs matter so much. It was a great play design, great play call. It was great blocking as well. But Jaden's legs as a threat opened up everything for Bill's speed, man. And he just went in there and, again, untouched for another touchdown. It was insane, bro. And also, just to let you know, Bill is the first Washington rookie to have multiple rushing touchdowns in a game since, guess who? Jaden Daniels last year, bro. These are just 2 elite draft picks here. One was a first rounder, 2nd overall. The other was a 7th rounder, bro. It's insane. And then the first play of the next possession, Jordan McGee does a great job of getting pressure on a blitz. He missed the tackle, but Johnny Newton was right there to clean it up for a sack, bro. And Johnny Newton had a phenomenal game, y'all. Arguably the best game I've seen him have in his career as a Commander. And I pointed this out during the live stream. Mike Severance still finally had his first bounce back game. I feel like this was his first complete game outside of that offsides penalty. This is his first time in 2025 having a good game. But it was looking a little weird because Jaden Daniels was a little shaky and also hurt. Mike Sanderson, who was a star for us last year, little shaky start for the first 4 games. It seemed like all of the guys that were great for us last year, Brandon Coleman was a really good starting left tackle for us. It seemed like it like did the reverse this season. Now suddenly Jaden Daniels again banged up. Mike Sanford still off to a slow start. Brandon Coleman benched to the point that he's inactive. But now you have Luke McCaffrey balling. Now you have Johnny Newton balling. It just seemed like other than Ben Sinnott, who's kind of been the same, everybody did a reverse. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, even before he got hurt and went on IR, he had a sack. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like, of course, we're just going to ignore the whole Dominique Hampton experience, but Jordan McGee finally getting involved, starting to ball out as well. It seemed like all of the guys that were hurt or didn't contribute very much to us from that rookie class last year, the 2024 class, it's like an inverse. The guys that were balling out last year were struggling this year. The guys that didn't contribute much last year started to ball out this year. It was really weird. I can't wait for everybody to get on the same page, and it seemed like this was the first game where really, literally everybody was. From Jaden Daniels to Johnny Newton to Mike Samuelson, literally everybody but Ben Sinnott, honestly, was on point. And again, Dominique Hampton isn't even on the team, and of course Javonte Jean-Baptiste is on IR, but he was starting to hoop before he got hurt. But man, I mean, that whole possession, it was Justin Herbert's sack. Immediately after the touchdown, Justin Herbert sack. Then 2nd and 19, Justin Herbert 24-yard completion negated by a penalty. How about 3rd and 24 after that penalty? 31-yard completion, another penalty. Then we got to him again, that we rallied, you know what I'm saying? They just threw a short pass, and then I think Frankie Louisville was the one that made the open field tackle. But hey, the Chargers are just one of those teams, they just haven't been very disciplined this year, and that's what they get. And then, as we get back on offense with 8 minutes and 24 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, bro, that Bill run where he shakes off Derwin James that comes through completely unblocked is insane. To be able to, first of all, change which direction, because he was running to a specific hole to the left side. He breaks that tackle, the elite vision and recognition and IQ and awareness and the reaction time to see, oh wait, this other side is open, after he somehow broke a tackle on the guy that was behind him. And then the elite burst and speed to outrun everybody to the outside. And then shouts out to Luke McCaffrey for a great block out there on the defensive back. And Bill turns what should have only been at most a 1-2 yard gain. It's like a 20-yard gain. I also like the fact that Jaden Daniels, after he noticed Bill break the first tackle, he tried to go out there and block somebody. It didn't work out. He ended up not being able to get the chance. But I like the fact that Bill's running ability, his game-changing running, made everybody feel like, oh boy, you know what I'm saying? This is something I got to get behind. I'm the star quarterback. I want to get out there and block. Luke McCaffrey's out there blocking people. Once the opportunity presented itself, everybody's like, whoa, wait a minute. This play can be bigger than what it was ever designed to be, and it ended up being that, bro. I mean, he's insane. Shouts out to Josh Taylor for wording it perfectly, bro. Contact balance, vision, cut ability, burst, all things you can see in his draft tape as well. This is why I was screaming back in late April, he's going to be the steal of the entire draft. Not just the running backs, the entire draft class. I told y'all this. Y'all can go check the receipts, bro. I told y'all Bill was going to be special. All it took was for Cliff Kingsbury to finally run the ball with him, because like I've been saying, Bill hasn't been stopped yet by any defense. The only thing that's been stopping Bill so far this season is Cliff Kingsbury himself not giving him the ball more. And finally, Bill gets 14 carries, and you see what he does. He didn't even get that many carries, just 14. Yet he had 111 rushing yards. We're going to get to the receiving yards later, but bro, this guy is offensive rookie of the week easily. I already have my eyes on offensive rookie of the year, bro. Already have my eyes on Offensive Rookie of the Year, bro. I think he has a strong chance. We'll revisit that later, bro. And then later on in that drive, like, it's 3rd and 10. Jeremy McNichols breaks a tackle and then runs through somebody else to pick up the first down. That was a big-time 3rd down conversion. And then, sadly, we ended up throwing that whole drive away. We only came away with 3 points because Jaden Daniels, with arguably one of the best plays he had all day, escaping immediate pressure, and then on the run, delivering a dot to Chris Moore in the end zone, he drops it. Chris Moore, I ain't gonna lie, you're done. You should have been done. A lot of us didn't even want you to make the team. We were sad when we saw you make the practice squad going into the season. After that drop, that could have ended up, I mean, that could have cost us the game. You never know how the game goes after that, bro. So we ended up going 20 to 10 instead of 24 to 10. Who knows what could have happened after that? So Chris Moore, you're done. I prefer to take my chances with Tate Martin, who was out there making a couple of plays. He had like 1 penalty at some point on special teams or something like that. But outside of that, he was pretty decent as a receiver. He had like a first down or two. And then even Robbie Chosen, I'll take my chances with him as he learns the playbook and after he comes off the practice squad. But Chris Moore, you're done. I'll take my chances with some random receiver that's out there available as a free agent over him at this point, bro. And then we get back on defense. Dorrance Armstrong gets his 2nd sack of the game, bro. And then just a couple of plays later, we got to stop on 4th and 2, bro. Now, I do not like how we allow teams to turn 3rd and 10s in the 4th and short so constantly. It seems like 2nd and longs, 3rd and short. 3rd and longs, 4th and short. I hate that. We have to stop that, but at least we got to stop when it mattered. Now, granted, it was because the Chargers tight end did drop the ball, but hey, man, we'll take it how we can get it, bro. And shouts out to Washington today. He brought up a great point after that. He said the defense gives up plays. There's no way around it. There's times where you wonder what is going on, but they've also only allowed 10 points and should actually only be 6 if it weren't for a Mike Sanford offsides. It's a masterful performance at that point in the game. The defensive line needed to show up, and they had so far, and we ended up finishing the game still only allowing 10 points. They did their thing. And so at the point, just through the second quarter and third quarter alone combined, just quarter 2 and quarter 3 going into the 4th quarter, we had 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, 2 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. That was a completely different defense once we got into the 2nd quarter, dog. And again, it all started with the Quan Martin forced fumble, bro. At that point in the game, we had 4 sacks for the entire team, bro. And over the last 2 seasons, we were 4-0 when we recorded at least 4 or more sacks in the game. That's a big key. Shouts out to Brian Colbert for that pull right there. When the Commanders get at least 4 sacks in a game, we were 4-0 these last 2 seasons. Let's keep that up. And so now we're 5-0. So, hey, man, go out there and get us 4 sacks so we can win every game this season, bro. And then also, shouts out to John Kahn for pointing out the fact that against Atlanta, Frankie Louvu rushed the passer only 5 times. But at a certain point early in the 4th quarter, he had already rushed the passer 9 times. It was game-specific, of course, but it definitely helped. Frankie Louvu rushing the passer is better than Frankie Louvu out in coverage or Frankie Louvu doing a lot of other stuff out there. But, man, later on, Deebo Samuel beats Benjamin St. Juste for a big-time first down, bro. Like a big 20, 30-yard completion type of thing. That was big time. Jaden Daniels, plenty of time in the pocket. Benjamin St. Juste, so much space allowed to Deebo Samuel. It was beautiful, bro. And then Bill with the ridiculous vision, bro, with a ridiculous run soon after that. And then after that, the Bill fumble. We have to address this because, I mean, of course, you naturally have to blame the running back when a running back fumbles. Naturally. I'm not going to sit here and alleviate him of a lot of blame, but I feel like it was between play design or whatever, because it was like Chris Paul pulled. That was weird. So then you just kind of allowed the defensive tackle to go unblocked. John Bates or Ben, I think it was Ben Sinnott, was supposed to be the one to block this huge nose tackle built defensive tackle over 300 pounds. No way we expect Ben Sinnott to do that. He can't even block Abdul Carter, who weighs less than him, or at least around the same weight somewhere. So I just thought the play design and the play call was just flawed. I feel like it wasn't executed well. And Bill only fumbled because he didn't even really have control all of the way yet. As he's getting the ball, he's already getting hit, and I'm not even sure if he sees the guy coming. So I don't really blame him for that. Again, anytime a running back fumbles, you naturally just have to blame him, but I feel like a lot of people deserve more blame than Bill deserves on that play. So that was a momentum shift in play right there. The Chargers felt like, okay, this is our chance to make a comeback. You know what I'm saying? We're only down 20-10. Let's take advantage of this and let's go, bring this game back. Well, Javon Kinlaw had other plans. Javon Kinlaw was out there and he had a great game, bro. He was so explosive. Sometimes he was in the backfield immediately. It was crazy. Like one time he beat a double team. This is the time where he beat a double team. Bobby Wagner did a great job of filling in the correct gap, which made the running back bounce it back to Javon Kinlaw. He was like, okay, well, this guy's getting double team. I should be able to get something right here. Nope. He obliterated that double team and made a stop in the backfield. Then soon after that, they make a throw to Keenan Allen to the sideline. Shouts out to Sanverston who came over to help because I don't believe that was his initial assignment, but good play recognition and speed and burst to get out there and hit Keenan Allen before he can get both feet in bounds. But then the defense started to look like wet toilet paper again, bro. It was insane. Our zone coverage, every time they needed a first down, it seemed like they could just always find somebody open just 1 yard beyond the first down. It was so annoying, bro. It was insane. It was insane. And it just felt like even when our defensive line was getting consistent pressure, our guys in coverage just couldn't hold up. So then we get the 1st and goal. We got to stop. 2nd and goal. Jordan McGee blitzes through and gets a huge stop, bro. We had 2 defensive linemen on it as well, but Jordan McGee was the first one there. Again, I've been screaming, play Jordan McGee more. Then it's 3rd and goal. How about Johnny Newton hits the ball at the line of scrimmage and Mike Sanford still catches the interception, bro, to give us the ball at the 1 yard line. Bro, that was the definition of bend but don't break right there, bro. That was a big time play. Thank you, Mike Sanford, still for catching it, but more so thank you for Johnny Newton for hitting the ball. Even though, looking at the replay, Mike Sanford still was right there. I don't know what Justin Herbert was even looking like, because even if Johnny Newton doesn't hit it, Mike Sanford still probably still gets that interception, but the difference was because Johnny Newton hit it, instead of Sanford still catching it in the end zone, it ended up being caught on the 1 yard line, so ultimately maybe that was worse. I don't know, but either way, bro, it's just amazing to me how this defense on odd, so maybe it's not away or home. That's not the problem, because, we had 4 games worth of sample sizes, 2 wins, 2 losses. And it just so happened to be that both of the wins were at home, both of the losses were on the road. But also at the same time, both wins were odd number weeks, 1 and 3. Both losses were even number weeks, 2 and 4. So it was kind of like, bro, we got to separate these sample sizes right here and isolate some variables to figure out what the problem really is. Well, it looks like it may be more of an odd number, even number thing than on the road or home at this point. Even though we got off to a slow start, the defense made adjustments, and wow, I mean, when's the last time our defense made adjustments mid-game? You know what I'm saying? That was amazing in itself. But either way, bro, weeks 1, 3, and 5, defense hooping. Weeks 2 and 4 look useless. It's just ridiculous, bro. And then offense back onto the field. Cliff Kingsbury, the very next play after the Mike Sanford touchdown, I don't feel like it's being talked about enough. How Cliff Kingsbury came up with an elite play call to get John Bates open and to get our backs out of the end zone after starting the drive on the 1 yard line. The defense didn't even account for Bates at all on that play, and I believe that was Bates' only target of the entire game. So shouts out to great job by Cliff Kingsbury to have a special play just in his back pocket for any situation, any scenario. How about you backed up on your own 1 yard line, and instead of running the ball or asking Jaden Daniels to sit back there and hope that he doesn't get sacked for any type of safety, he just immediately draws up a play that's designed before the ball is even snapped to get to John Bates wide open to end up picking up 9 yards and take our backs out of the end zone, bro. Honestly, don't even recall us running that play before at any point this season. So what a better time than then to prevent a terrible situation from happening right there. So shouts out to Cliff Kingsbury for that elite play call, elite timing, all of that, bro. Play design, play call, everything was insane. And then we just keep feeding the ball to Bill, bro. Consecutive runs where it should have been at most a 1 to 3 yard gain. He turns it into like an 8 and 13 yard gain. Just insane stuff, bro. And then he ultimately, during that drive, and this is mind you, the final drive of the game. This is starting from your own 1 yard line, 7 minutes and 40 seconds left. Bill eventually breaks through even more contact, rushes for like an additional 16 or 17 up to like the 21 yard line. And that gave him his 111 rushing yards for the day. And at that point, they just went ahead and sat him. It was basically like, hey, Bill, great job. Take your bow. You're done. We need you for the entirety of this season and this playoff run we're about to go on. No reason to give you any unnecessary carries. This game is over. Let Chris Rodriguez get the garbage time carries, and I'm not mad at that at all, bro. And just to let you know, Bill, of course, reaching 100 yards rushing. The last 6 times that the Commanders running back has run for 100 yards, you had Bill yesterday. You had to go back to December 1st of 2024 for Brian Robinson, 103 yards versus Tennessee. Then that same season, Brian Robinson went for 101 against Arizona. Both of these are barely 100 yards. 101 and 103 is crazy. Then you got to go to Brian Robinson back in the 2023 season, September 15th, very early on in the season versus the New York Giants. Then you got to go back before that to 2022, November 27th, 3 days before my birthday that year. Brian Robinson 105 yards versus the Falcons. And then you got to go to January 9th, the season before, but still the year 2022, where Antonio Gibson at 146 yards versus the Giants. And I do want to point out the fact that the Giants are 2 of those 6. Shouts out to Grant Paulson for that stat pool right there. But man, it's just ridiculous how he just somehow turns 2-yard gains into 15-yard gains, bro. And how about just Bill, not even being on the field for the last 3 minutes, bro, and still finishing with 14 carries, 111 yards, which is 7.9 yards per carry, 7.9 yards per carry, just to let you know. He had 7.9 yards per carry. And on top of that, 2 receptions for 39 yards, which is 19 yards per reception, 19 and a half yards per reception. And mind you, 2 touchdowns. Forget that fumble again. I don't blame him for that. That is ridiculous. And I also want to remind y'all, and this is why I'm saying he's been the best running back in the NFL on a per carry basis. Before this game, before this Chargers game even started, going into this weekend, Bill was first out of the entire NFL, out of all running backs in yards per attempt with 5.9. He was first out of the entire NFL, again, including Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, every running back, Derrick Henry, in first down rate with 39%, 38%. 38% of the time that he touched the ball, he got a first down. That was the best in the NFL. He also had a 72% success rate, which means he at the very least gets at least a yard 72% of the time he touches the ball, no matter how bad the blocking is. That was also first in the NFL. That, again, I want to re-emphasize, before this Chargers game even started. And then he went out there and did that. Please tell me how he's not playing like at least the best running back in the NFL right now. You could argue if he is or not. Of course, it's a small sample size. But on a per carry basis, he's easily been the best running back in the entire NFL. Forget the Commanders team. And then how about we're just chewing the clock? Chris Rodriguez getting carry after carry. Of course, it's predictable because we want to chew the clock. How about on 4th and 7, Cliff Kingsbury forgets being predictable. How about on 4th and 7? And then everybody just assumes we're going to run the ball or chew the clock, kick a field, whatever. 4th and 7, we drop Jaden Daniels back. And not only that, somehow like 3 defensive linemen, 3 defenders come through and they look like they're just unblocked. Jaden Daniels has immediate pressure in his face. 2 guys right in his face, a 3rd one on the way. He's literally running backwards the entire time. Off his back foot, without even having a chance to set his feet, he throws a perfect ball to Deebo Samuel in the corner of the end zone, who is open for we were going to win regardless, but that was the one that put it away. I love the aggressiveness right there, bro. So now Deebo Samuel ended up finishing with 8 receptions, 96 receiving yards, and a touchdown because of that, bro. I was so happy to see that, man. He led our team in receptions, mind you. He had 8. The next most was Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt with 2. Everybody else had 1, bro. Luke McCaffrey had 1 for 50 yards. Jalen Lane had that big one on 3rd and down. It was 3rd and 15, 1 for 16 yards. Jeremy McNichols had that 1 for 12, again, where he broke 2 tackles to get a big first down. Every time anybody else touched the ball, it was a big first down. Every other receiver that ever touched the ball outside of Deebo Samuel, it went for a first down. And the majority of Deebo Samuels went for first downs as well. So it was just basically a bunch of, you can't stop our run, and the very few times that we do throw the ball is literally for a first down. John Bates nearly had 1. Again, he had that 9-yard reception to get us out of the back of the end zone. Tate Martin even had a first down reception. Now, granted, Zach Ertz dropped his 1 reception that he should have caught. That was on him. And, of course, also Chris Moore, the 1 target he had in the end zone, definitely should have been caught. But literally outside of a John Bates 9-yard gain, there was 1 yard short of a first down. And then a couple of Deebo Samuels catches. Every other catch that any person made from a Jaden Daniels throw was for a first down. That was insane. insane, bro. And also, just to go back to Deebo Samuel, he proved everybody wrong. I told y'all when we traded for him, and then especially once I started to see what he was cooking up in training camp and stuff like that, I was telling y'all Deebo Samuel is gonna have a ridiculous year. He fits Cliff Kingsbury's offense so well. This is the type of guy that Cliff Kingsbury has been looking for since he's been an offensive-minded coach at the NFL level. I told y'all Deebo Samuel was gonna ball out with or without Terry McLaurin. Deebo Samuel is going to be a huge part of this offense and look like, and at least play like a Pro Bowler. I told you he may never get the ultimate surface stats like receiving yards like he had that great 2021 season, I believe it was, but on a per snap basis, on a per reception, per game basis, he's going to be a far better player. He's a more nuanced receiver. He's a receiving threat deep down the field. He's getting open with his route running. Even if he's not getting the ball behind the line of scrimmage on carries, he's still effective in the screen game. It's insane. But also, of course, even beyond just Deebo Samuel, I mean, Jaden Daniels, bro. How about he is the first player in NFL history with 4,000 plus passing yards, 1,000 plus rushing yards in his first 20 career games. The first player in NFL history to ever do that. Also, shouts out to Neil Greenberg for bringing this up right here about how the probability switched off of a Jaden Daniels 9-yard run. Jaden Daniels' 9-yard run on a 2nd and 10 in the third quarter was the moment that the game flipped in the Commanders' favor per ESPN analytics, bro. It was 14:33 left in the third quarter, 2nd and 10. Jaden Daniels scrambles for 9 yards for what should have been actually a sack. I mean, that's just Jaden Daniels being Jaden Daniels, and that flipped the probability in the Commanders' favor to 50.2%. So you can argue that maybe even though that didn't feel like the most impactful play, statistically it was one of the most impactful plays in the game, bro. He's just different. I love Marcus Mariota, but man, Jaden Daniels is just different. And I just love this clip right here of him going to celebrate with his mom and his family after the game, after he got done with his interviews. And Jaden Daniels went out there and reminded you why he is literally the best quarterback in the entire conference, the best quarterback in NFC, and a top 5 quarterback. Sophomore slump where, bro? And you can see, to start the game, he was rusty. You can see that missing 2 games mattered. The first possession and a half, he was rusty, he was inactive, and then he started to heat up, and then he balled out. And again, shouts out to Marcus Mariota, salute to you. You are the best backup quarterback in all of football right now. Easily. But Jaden Daniels is on a different level. Best backup quarterback in the NFL is not top 5 quarterback, arguably best quarterback in the NFL in Jaden Daniels, bro. He is insane. And even after missing 2 games, he might be right back on track to this MVP campaign. I wouldn't consider him a favorite right now, but I wouldn't count him out by the end of this season, bro. It's that different. Shouts out to John Com. I completely agree. He said Jaden Daniels matters, bro. Marcus Mariota is a very good quarterback for them, has played well, but Daniels just adds something more. It's like another energy, bro. Everybody that talked to the interviewers and the media after the game, they all said things about like energy. It's just a vibe. Like Jeremy Reeves had a really interesting quote. I forgot it exactly, but he says that, I mean, again, we love Mariota, but Jaden Daniels is just different. It's a different energy. It's not even just the talent. It's also the personality and the energy that he brings, that they always have hope. Cliff Kingsbury even said, quote, he's generational, unquote. I completely agree. And take a look at this passing chart from Jaden Daniels right here, man. Insane stuff. Of course, the completion percentage wasn't great, but also the degree of difficulty on a lot of his throws were high, bro. The 50-yard bomb that you see right in the middle down there is insane. And he wasn't a behind the line of scrimmage screen merchant. He only completed 5 screen passes, attempting a 6th one. Everything else was beyond the line of scrimmage, at least 5 yards down the field. You see a lot of intermediate stuff, over 15 yards down the field with 4 completions alone, outside of the 50-yard deep bomb. So really anything 15 yards or further, he had 5 completions with only 3 incompletions, bro. Well, 4 actually. So he was basically more accurate. And then remember the touchdown that went exactly to the 15-yard line. So actually add more. So, I mean, it was ugly to start for the beginning, but then he was just insane. And again, the degree of difficulty on these throws, this is not a Jalen Hurts passing chart, bro, at all, bro. Jalen Hurts' passing charts never looked like this outside of that one Super Bowl that they lost to the Chiefs. And also, just to let you know, the defense balled out too. So we had to thank Bill, we had to thank Deebo, we had to thank Jaden Daniels. What about the defense, bro? Washington held Justin Herbert to 166 passing yards. It was the 8th fewest passing yards he's had in a single game in his 84 career starts, bro. And he got off to a hot start. He had like 100 by like the first quarter or something. It's amazing that we only allowed him to get like 60 more after that. It was incredible. Also, Marshall Lattimore only allowed 1 catch for 6 yards on 41 coverage snaps against the Chargers, despite playing his 10th lowest rate of man snaps since 2018. So it sounds like, first of all, he had a great game. Again, this is another guy. Odd number weeks, great. Even number weeks, bad. Hopefully, he just stays good. Please, defense, Marshall Lattimore, please, can we break that curse? Can we play well on even number weeks too? Please, please, we need this for this Bears game, bro. We need this Bears game Monday night. And of course, I will be live streaming that as well. But man, that also shows that with him not playing a lot of press man, that means he's getting better in zone coverage. That's going to be big time. Because he's best in press man. But if he can excel in zone coverage as well, this secondary may actually learn how to cover some people. Also, bro, again, I really want to emphasize the fact that our offense did that and was that efficient and unstoppable against the number 4 ranked Chargers defense in the NFL. The 4th best defense in the NFL, and according to some stats, the 2nd best defense in the NFL. The offense was that unstoppable without Terry McLaurin. I mean, Noah Brown, I'm not going to, that's not going to hold too much weight. But also Samuel Cosme is on the way back as well. I mean, there could be a scenario where we go against the Bears and we have all 3 of those guys back, and we are a fully loaded offense once again, with Bill finally being featured, Deebo Samuel hooping. It's scary hours for these guys, man. Now, also moving on, just some, random reviews and opinions and stats that are brought up from a lot of different sources and stuff like that. First of all, bro, I agree with Rio Robinson. He said scoring that last touchdown for no effing reason really awakened something in my soul. 5 is back. And then he posted that Michigan man meme with the, it means something to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm right with him. Also, shouts out to Josh Norris for pointing out the fact that Bill Krosky Merritt had gains of 13, 15, 27, 10, 15, 28, 21, 28, 11, and 18 yards. Those are his carries. 13, 15, 27, 10, 15, 21, 28, 11, and 18, bro. Those are his gains today, bro. Yesterday. That is insane, bro. And then shouts out to Kareem on Twitter. He said, finally somebody that can take advantage of the offensive line and how big of the holes that they've been providing. And Jaden's been providing as well with the threat of his legs and his passing. Plus, Bill is making something out of nothing a lot, very often. It's insane, bro. I completely agree. Also, bro, shouts out to Marshall, who brings up a great point. Bill treated the number 2 defense in the NFL like they were a directional school. Shouts out to the O-line and John Bates as well. They do deserve some credit, bro. They deserve a lot of credit. And, of course, Bill will be your offensive rookie of the week, I feel like, obviously. And, man, like I said, we're talking about offensive rookie of the year. Forget rookie of the week. He got that. That's the Jaden Daniels award anyway. And remember, Bill already won it week 1. Then Jalen Lane went out there and won it week 3. I think Bill comes back and wins it again week 5. And, I mean, honestly, if we're talking about offensive rookie of the year race right now, it's between him and Emeka Egbuka. And I feel like after them, it's a big gap to whoever's in 3rd place. And Bill has more touchdowns than Emeka Egbuka right now. More touchdowns than any rookie rusher as well. He's been the best running back out of this entire rookie draft class as well. Again, like I've already said, he's actually statistically been the best running back efficiency-wise on a per-carry basis than any running back in the entire NFL. So it is what it is. Also, shouts out to Ryan Fowler. I completely agree. Jaden Daniels, Bill Krosky Merritt, Johnny Newton, Jordan McGee, Mike Sammerstill, Luke McCaffrey, Trey Amos, Tay Martin, Jalen Lane, Josh Connolly. This is the young core that Washington and that they have, and they popped in all 3 phases today. And so I hate the fact that a lot of people keep bringing up how old our roster is, but we have a great young core that give me the vision as to how I can see us winning and competing for Super Bowls and winning Super Bowls long term as well. And then don't even forget, Dorrance Armstrong is only 28 years old. He has 5 sacks in 5 games. He's on pace for 17 sacks this season. He's not that old either. He's 28, bro. He's only going into his 2nd year of being a full-blown starter. And you see the development and the progress he's made and the steps he's taken forward in his game, bro. And again, our defense made adjustments mid-game. That was insane in itself. Hey, shouts out to Benjamin St. Juste. You helped us win. And shouts out to Joe Whitt Jr. for finally playing Jordan McGee more, like I already said earlier. Also, again, overall, the defense, 5 sacks, 1 interception, 6 tackles for losses, 9 quarterback hits, 1 fumble recovered, and 10 points allowed on the road. Also, shouts out to Josh Taylor for pointing out the fact that Pro Football Focus's early numbers have the Commanders at 20 pressures against Herbert, that Johnny Newton, Von Miller, and Armstrong all had 3 each, bro. Everybody was getting busy. Also, I love how Bill was not only the running back that got the most carries in this game. I don't feel like a lot of people noticed this, but he was a true feature back. He wasn't just the running back that got the most carries. He got almost all of them. Because before that final 3 minutes where they pulled him just to run the clock out with Chris Rodriguez, up to that point, Bill had 14 carries to Chris Rodriguez's 1 carry and Jeremy McNichols' 1 carry as well. Jaden had 8 carries technically, but a lot of of those were scrambles, even though he dropped back to pass. But Bill was the true feature back. 14 carries to 1-to-1 before we started running out the clock and running it with Chris Rodriguez. That's more like it. That's exactly what I wanted before the regular season even started, Cliff Kingsbury, bro. And also, shouts out to John Com for pointing out the fact that Bill gained 59 yards before contact. That's the most by a Washington running back this season. The O-line was not, I think the O-line deserves a lot of credit for that. And also, Bill's explosion, vision, and speed makes it to where he's already so far up the field before the first guy could even get their hands on him. So that's a combination of the O-line absolutely moving people out the way, but that's also Bill's explosion, vision, to know exactly which way to go to where he avoids contact. You know, he deserves a lot of credit for that as well. And then, of course, the speed to run right by people and erase angles, bro. Also, moving on, shouts out to Ethan Godot. He said the last 40 minutes of today's game was the first time this year that the Commanders looked like the team that went to the NFC Championship game last season. I completely agree. And again, mind you, this is without Terry. This is without a lot of the guys that led us to that. This is without Samuel Cosme, your Pro Bowl right guard. A lot of the pieces that helped us win a lot of games last year, they weren't even here for all of this success that we had. So imagine what happens when they come back. But also, what an impressive performance, headlined by Jaden Daniels and Bill Krosky-Merritt. Huge road win in LA. I agree. Also, shouts out to Josh Norris. He said that Jalen Lane 3rd and 16 conversion has jump-started this Commanders offense, finally came alive. He said, I'm convinced that play changed everything for the Commanders because they were down 10-0, about to basically go 3 and out for the third straight drive, and that first down throw from Jaden to Jalen Lane changed everything. But of course, you can also argue that Quan Martin's fumble or Mike Samuelson's interception were the biggest game-changing plays of the day as well. Shouts out to Tom Shad. He pointed out the fact that the stats before and after that second quarter fumble are wild. For the Chargers, before they had 26 plays for 167 yards, that's 6.4 yards per play. After the forced fumble by Quan Martin, 38 plays, 169 yards, down from 6.4 yards per play to 4.4. The Commanders' difference is even more dramatic. How about before that forced fumble, only 8 plays for 30 yards, 3.8 yards per play? How about after the fumble, 47 plays for 359 yards and 7.6 yards per play, bro? That fumble, if I had to vote, was the biggest play of the day. Shouts out to John Com. He said the defense did its job. 2 takeaways. The first one changed the game, and the second one took points away for sure. I agree. Also, Jamal, my boy LF Montellet, said one sentence takeaway from today's game. He said, with Jaden back, I'm a believer. But he did a play on words. Bill, as in believer. Completely agree. Let's keep it pushing, man. Shouts out to Surge the Shooter. He said Debo and Bill, the only 2 targets with more than 1 reception, and Bill only had 2. And 27 points was put up on a thriving top 4 defense. That's a great point. That's what I talked about earlier. Also, shouts out to Mark Tyler. He said Johnny Newton played a hell of a game. It will definitely come out more once all 22 is released, but I'll stand behind this comment and say that it was probably his best game as a Commander ever. I, again, agree like I mentioned earlier. Also, shouts out to K. Moore. He said them Chargers fans were mad and we had half the stadium filled. So he was at the game, and he said that the Commanders filled up that stadium, and it felt almost like a home game. I love to hear that. Also, shouts out to Rio Robinson. He basically apologized to Luke McCaffrey. He said, Luke, you got it. Please keep doing what you do. F what me or anyone else has to say. Keep hooping. Thank you, Rio Robinson, for that one. Also, shouts out to Ryan Fowler for pointing out the fact that Laramie Tunsil, in his last 3 starts, 97 pass pro snaps, only 2 pressures allowed, 0 quarterback hits, 0 sacks, and a 2.7 pressure rate, literally playing at an all-pro level right now. All-pro Laramie Tunsil. So don't forget to thank him as well in this offensive line, run blocking wise and pass protection wise. Also, Marshall brings up a great point that Luke is not only developing as a wide receiver, but don't forget his return ability as well. And right now, the Commanders have 2 legit kick returner ones right now, like I brought up earlier. Shouts out to Al Galdi. He said outstanding road win, 27 unanswered points off of a 10-0 second quarter deficit. Offense and defense got off to bad starts, but ended up being good. Jaden Daniels did very well in his return. Coming out game for Bill as RB1. Impressive victory by a tough and resilient Commanders team. And I don't like the fact that people are saying a come out game for Bill. No, it's a come-out game for Cliff Kingsbury finally learning to utilize Bill more often. Now, I get it. Maybe they were trying to reserve him because it's a long season ahead, or maybe also not even just the future. How about the past? The fact that he only played in one regular season college football game in 2024, and then he played in the East-West Shrine Bowl game. Those are the only sample sizes of football. Any experience he got at all last year. So maybe they wanted to preserve him. They didn't want him to get to the NFL level, jumping from basically having a year off of college football to going into the NFL. And then his body getting beat up because it's not ready for the punishment again of him basically sitting down for a year. So maybe that has something to deal with it. But again, I don't like this narrative that's going out there of saying Bill's breakout game. No, he's been balling. Like I said earlier, he, even before this game started, statistically was the best running back in the NFL according to 3 advanced stats when it comes to per carry basis, bro. On a per carry basis, he was already best running back in the NFL. This is a Cliff Kingsbury finally utilizing Bill Krosky merit breakout game. Not a Bill breakout game. He's been doing this. He just didn't get enough touches. Also, shouts out to Grant Paulson. He said 5 things I think after the Commanders 27-10 win. Bill is a stud. Feed him. I agree. Number 2, Debo still got it. Pass game goes through him. I agree. Number 3, JD5 got better as the game went on. Best he's looked this season. I agree. Number 4, kids help. Luke McCaffrey 50-yard grab. Newton sack and tip. 2 separate plays and a Jalen Lane 3rd and 16 pickup. And also number 5, Herbert is special. He just basically can't do it all. And then also shouts out to Commander's Realm. He always has a bunch of reviews, so go check out his Twitter. He did like a full, like almost essay on his Twitter account, but I'm not even gonna read it here because we're already an hour and 20 minutes in, and my throat is starting to hurt, my voice is starting to go away. So let me go ahead and get up out of here and wrap this up. So to finish up, Sleeper Commander said with his review, Bill is RB1, obviously. JD5 is back, yes. The defense ain't that bad. Debo Samuel is slim and athletic, and we're so back. Then you have Linnell Willingham, his stock ups. Bill, D-line, JD5, Luke, Mikey, Cliff Kingsbury, and the O-line. I agree with all of that, bro. Then Commander's Muse on Twitter posted all of his top 5 plays of the game. Go check those out if you want to relive those moments. He literally has his top 5 plays uploaded all through Twitter. And then also moving on from this section to my next section of notes. Also, Bill Krosky Merritt won Tom Brady's LFG player of the game for week 5. So I was super happy about that. And of course, you know he's going to win a fifth rookie of the week. But I don't know if y'all saw that interview. He had this really funny, like, first of all, he was super humble throughout the interview. But then he had like this really funny, silly, like he that was so goofy and stuff. It was amazing. And then Bill also talked after the game, of course, that he like was one of the main people to talk to the media after the game. And again, humble. He talked about he was happy about the game, but he said that he still has a lot more work to do. Imagine a Bill getting better. That's dangerous, bro. Also, shouts out to Marshall. He says, seems like they reached a milestone with Bill today. Started the game out there, and he was a focal point. Good luck to those Chicago and Dallas run defenses, especially if Cosme is back. And I completely agree, because the Cowboys and Bears have no run defense right now. Bill is going to eat against them as well, bro. Let's go get 2 more dubs, but I'm not looking too far ahead. We got to focus on the Bears first, bro. But right now, we have started as the favorites. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video against the Bears at home Monday Night Football. I will be live streaming that game just like I live streamed this one. Also, Jaden Daniels, of course, being a Southern California native, super happy for him to go out there and win his first game in his hometown, bruh. And then especially coming back from missing 2 starts, the first time he's ever not started games for the Commanders, and he had to miss 2 of them in a row. That was big time for him. Also, speaking of coming back from injury, immediately on the field after we win the game, still through the Fox broadcast, he said, quote, everyone can stop talking on social media about the brace, I'm good, unquote. So he's heard y'all complaining and panicking. He went out there and showed you he's good, and then he also made sure to tell you. And then another reporter asked him, how did his knee feel? He said, quote, I mean, y'all tell me. How did the knee look? You tell me, unquote. You can just tell he's sick of it. He's sick of the media asking him about it. He's sick of y'all fans questioning him about it and panicking over it. I'm happy that he addressed it that way. Not only did he address it, but he addressed it like, come on, y'all, leave me alone, bro. Y'all know I do this. I love that. Also, Dan Quinn said in his press conference after the game, I thought this was interesting, that they had their best Friday practice all year at USC. So USC didn't utilize it. They haven't been playing too well, but hey, the Commanders utilized it. He said he was surprised they were down 10-0, but said that the vibe was just different and that he knew that they'd come back. So that's interesting that they had their best practice on Friday. That's one thing. And also, even though we were down 10-0 and we got off to a slow start like we did all of our other road games this season, he said it was just a different feeling being down double digits compared to those other games where the team just still believed. I'm telling y'all, that's the JD5 effect, but people don't want to listen. Also, before we get up out of here, a run of interesting stats from the Washington Commanders PR themselves. First of all, Washington has started 3-2 or better for the consecutive season. Y'all can tell I'm tired, bro. It's 4:56 a.m. This marks the first time that Washington has started 3-2 or better in consecutive seasons since the 2017 and 2018 seasons. That's ridiculous. Also, Washington has started 2-0 against the AFC for the second consecutive season. That marks the first time Washington has started 2-0 against the AFC in consecutive seasons since 2003 seasons. Insane. Also, Dorrance Armstrong recorded his first 2-sack game since week 1 of the 2023 season and his first multi-sack game since week 4 of the 2024 season. Also, Bill joins Daryl Young, 3 in 2013, John Riggins, 2 in 1986, and George Rogers, 2 in 1986 as the only Washington players to ever record multiple rushing touchdowns in a single game against the Chargers. Also, Luke McCaffrey's 50-yard reception is the longest of his career, of course. We should have known that. And also, Washington, shouts out the Rush Manual for this one, has now scored 14 or more points for 22 consecutive regular season weeks. That's their longest such streak since 1972, bro. That is ridiculous. And now for a couple of last things, the Commanders open up as 5-point favorites. I saw somewhere else they were 4.5-point favorites, but either way, we're favored it pretty big against the Bears right now, but don't act like it. We need to go into that game as if we're not. Also, to remind you, we will be wearing all black in that game. So make sure you wear your black to that game. If you're going to that game, wear all black, bro. We are on hunting mode. We will not be hunted. We will still remain the hunters, even if we are favored going into that game. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you everything discussed video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. I am tripping. It is 5 a.m. and I gotta wake up at 10 o'clock. Boy, tomorrow's gonna be a rough day, man, but I'm gonna figure it out. I guess I'll take a nap at some point before I start working on more videos for y'all. But of course, man, if you just an hour and 21 minutes worth of recording. If y'all are still watching me and hearing me right now, I super duper appreciate and salute you, man. Shouts out to my Watch to the End gang, man. WTTEG out there. Shouts out to my late night crew that'll probably be on this immediately as soon as the video uploads at 6 a.m. Same thing. Shouts out to the Noti gang. Shouts out to those y'all that are there as soon as I release these videos, man. As soon as they upload. Really appreciate y'all again. I'm gonna let my voice rest. I'm gonna let my whole body rest. I gotta go to sleep, so let me go ahead and knock out the editing for this video, get this out to y'all, and I am out, man. Appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. Of course, let me know all of y'all reactions in the chat. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points. If you have any stats that you can add, any extra additional points that you can add that I missed, any players, bad or good, whatever. Let me know everything in the comment section. I'm gonna try my best to read or reply to as many comments as possible. Shouts out to the WTTEG gang. Shouts out to the late night crew. Shouts out to the Noti gang, Watch to the End, all of that type of stuff. I'm out. Appreciate y'all. Let's get it, man.